Welcome to the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Together we explore the vast landscapes of life, delving into the rich soil of experiences, sowing the seeds of curiosity, and harvesting the profound wisdom that each episode unfolds.
Hi, this is Dr. Roselle with Harvesting Wisdom. I am super excited to have our guest here today, Dr. Ozturk from ASU, and you work in the Bee Lab at ASU, which is really exciting. So we're going to talk about several topics today, but really, if I had a goal for this podcast today, it's to get people to really understand really the importance of bees in food production, because they are an important part. We're going to take a rabbit hole down some other topics as well too. So if you tuned in thinking this was going to be the outtakes from the bee movie, it's not. We're going to be talking about bees and their importance in nature, but also in food production. So I had a conversation recently with somebody at a restaurant, and we were talking about bees, and I think their question was really important. And I said, you know what? I have a podcast with somebody that's a bee guy. I'm going to ask him. So his question was, I hear stuff all the time about colony collapse of bees. Why is it so important?
Okay, thanks so much. Bees important. Why bees important? Because we rely on for pollination service and for our foods for them. So every bite in every tree rely on pollinators. And in the pollinators group, majority of the supports or contribution comes from the honeybees, because their mobility, their large colony size, we can move them everywhere. And in the world, every day we eat foods, maybe top 100 plus foods, and maybe 70 of them rely some pollination service. Even some of them higher level pollination service required. Without pollination, they cannot produce any foods for us. But some of them, bees can, or pollinators can support them, increase the quality and quantity of the foods. So either vegetables, fruits, seeds, we need bees or pollinators to pollinate them.
Okay, so before the podcast, you said there are over 20,000 different species of bees, but really there's just a small handful really that are working with humans, I guess, to produce food. So let's expand a little bit on the idea of, just to show how integral bees are to food production. So you're saying, in your opening statement, that if the bee colonies collapse, we would have a lot of difficulty producing food.
Yes, correct. So the fruits, vegetables, some food sources we rely every day on our table. They need some pollination service, because they need to produce some fruit for their future generation. They need to reproduce. But bees, other pollinators, helping them to pollinate. Without pollinators, they cannot produce enough food for them, enough seed for themselves to reproduce for future. And also, we are eating those seeds or foods as a daily food. So if we lose them, if there is not enough bees, if bees collapse high level, so we will not able to reach enough food, and maybe it's going to be high expensive price and lower food production we will see.
Yeah, and when I talked to a farmer, his definition was great. He said, when I think of bees, it's an input. It's an input to my crop. Yes. It's something I have to have. I can't do without. So another question I hear a lot with the bee pollinators is they understand that bees are part of a system. Is there any other animal or any other insect that does the same things that bees do?
Yes, there are other pollinators. Even we need to point here, the honeybees, western honeybees, not native to American continents. So we imported them, and without them, still there were some plants. They were cropping, they were producing fruit. Even without bees, still other pollinators can help plants to produce some fruit or vegetables or fruits. So for example, famous couple of examples, bumblebees, mason bees, leafcutter bees, they are also pollinators, and they can efficiently pollinate our crops.
So is the main species that pollinates the crops, is it the western honeybee?
Uh, the important one, honeybees. Why? Because the colony size of the honeybees are larger than other pollinators.
Okay.
So I gave the couple of example: bumblebees, mason bees, leafcutter bees. They are solitary. They are not social, and their colony size sometimes can be a couple hundred or less than like a few individual. Maybe individually efficiently, they more efficiently pollinate more flowers, but their colony size smaller. If you look at honeybee colonies, we are talking about in the season 60,000 plus bees.
Wow.
So 60,000 plus bees, like honeybees, cannot like other pollinators cannot compete with the honeybees. So we use a lot more efficiently honeybees because of their population size.
Okay, so the population size, it really, in my understanding is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it helps with the scale of the job. Because
Yes.
we're talking about massive fields that they have to produce, and not only that, you're saying they're mobile. If you have a small colony size, it's just not realistic. Are there any other species like butterflies or birds that follow that or hummingbirds that?
Yes,
Okay.
that's exactly correct. So we have more pollinators. Even like wind is good a pollination source for plants, and also butterflies, hummingbirds, bats. Also, they can pollinate our crops.
So those are pollinators, but I think that the main takeaway is that they don't pollinate on the scale as western honeybees.
Yes.
So if you're a farmer, you can't go out and get some butterflies or some hummingbirds and expect it to do the same job. So with western honeybees being an input, they're integral to growing crops in the United States, right?
Yes, correct.
I've got an interesting question because you and I were talking. I know that western honeybees, are used across the United States, and the climates are quite different. So, are there any things that affect the honeybees, like heat, water, extreme cold, where it's more difficult to use them to apply to crops?
Yes, unfortunately, yes. So they are really adaptive. They can adapt anywhere. We, as long as plant source available, their food markets look like, so they can find various diverse pollen source and nectar. They can thrive. They can survive well. So we have everything for them to survive, but there are something not really good for their life or survival. One of them, chemicals we use every day, and this number, like chemical usage, every day raising. So we add new chemicals every day in our daily life. So if as long as we improve this, increase this chemical usage, we are gonna harm them more, because some of the chemicals we call like pesticides, they definitely harm the bees. Some of them little bit gentle, maybe they call fungicides. Even those fungicides harming honeybees, their life, their everything production. There are lots of scientific proof for this, and also we use monoculture farming in our life, like modern farming. Right now, we clean everything. Like we don't like the weed. We want to see everywhere clean, just weed or like artificial grass. But these are not good for the honeybees or other pollinators. They need various of the diverse pollen source, because they need nutritions like us or other creatures. So as long as they have these various food sources, they are healthier, they are productive. But if we take their like food source from them, what they're gonna eat? So they are looking source. If there is miles of the field with one crop or monoculture something, they just reach one food source, one nutrition, or maybe some of the essential like nutritions for them. They cannot find some of them. Either we are going to substitute them, either they're going to have some health issues. So one of the issues coming from the nutrition, and also they have other issues, like to answer your question, pests. Like in our life, we have lots of new diseases, viruses in our life. It's affecting human life. So same thing for bees. We have some known pests like Varroa mites. We have also some new issues, some viruses they are affecting, and also like diseases and pests just can jump from one continent to other continent in a short time.
Yeah, honestly, for me, I just talked to somebody about regenerative farming, and they said that we've created the system with monocropping and industrial farming in order to feed the world. And because of this transition, there are unintended consequences. There are things that we didn't intend to happen, but now are happening. One of the things I'm shocked about by what you just said was that bees need a nutritious diet. I had no idea. So, but it makes sense. If all of their food sources except for one are taken away, it makes sense that they're not going to survive. So, I think we've answered the first question: how do bees fit into the bigger system? When you think of the food system, they're an integral part when it comes to producing food. Let's look at nature as a whole, though. Outside of agricultural production, what role do they play in just the healthy, keeping an environment healthy within your community?
So bees support the plants because plants needs also reproduce. So they need to produce seeds. Sometimes some plants needs like cross pollination to resilience, because sometimes if they pollinate themselves, they can have some issues. So we call cross pollination, self pollination. So bees and other pollinators support the resilience nature. So they support the biodiversity. So without bees, pollinators, we cannot see the diverse environment, like biology around our life areas. So they support one thing, the diversity. Second, they support the quality of the seeds. And like sometimes we consider these are food for us, but they are not producing those seeds for food for us. They just want to reproduce themselves. They just want to plant future generation of the plants. So if there is pollinators, those crops or fruits or vegetables we call, so they are various and genetically better, resilience they provide the plants. So and also like if we look environment, various environment in beauty, so we can not see that this much beauty of the environment without pollinators, because plants cannot be very so diverse this much.
So it's not just something with food production, it's something that our communities need as a whole, the environment needs as a whole. You said something that I'm really intrigued with when you said that it's not only the ability to produce food, it's the quantity and quality of the food. So let's talk about that. How do bees impact the quantity and quality of food?
Yeah, the different way. So sometimes like some of the plants, they self-pollinate. Sometimes even they don't need the pollination service. Some of the flowers has female and male tissues together. So either they need some vector or pollinator to carry, either like wind or some small movement can pollinate them, and they can reproduce, they can produce crop. But if bees collect the pollen and distribute it on the same flower and different flowers, they can produce more seeds. And this is the development of the seeds requires some efficient pollination environment. So if bees or pollinators involve this, the crop or seeds or fruit or vegetables growing better, larger. So they have more seeds sometimes, especially we can see in the citrus. Some of the citrus varieties, they don't maybe require all of them pollination service. But if there is bees around some citrus trees, they have more seeds. Sometimes we don't like this, but this is a contribution from the bees. And sometimes they have larger fruits if there is pollination in apple or different fruits or vegetables.
So does it all, and maybe I'm wrong, but does it help with biodiversity within the plants?
Yes.
So and that helps them the plants be more resilient to disease and
yes.
Okay.
Like inbreeding issues, deficiencies in our life. So they pollinate from the other varieties, and they can be varies from distinct from the genetically from each other, and they can be resilient or more diverse and beautiful or larger fruits or different plants. So it's definitely contribution from the pollinators.
What I wanted to do too now is a lot of people that I've talked to, they focus in on bees with production, but let's talk about their output, honey. You gave me a great jar of honey that you said was a blend that had mesquite and various other desert blossoms. But let's dive into that a little bit. One of the things that I learned just a couple years ago is that bee honey can taste radically different depending on where it pulls its pollen. So, do you have a favorite type of honey? Um,
Yeah, probably it is coming from our like childhood. So like other every foods we enjoy in our lives. So when we start eating and enjoying one food in our childhood or from our mother or native location, so we keep this taste. We enjoy this taste. Probably I'm original from Turkey, so we have some different honey resources in Turkey. So thyme honey or some like different honey flavor I like. My favorite is thyme honey maybe, and also I like citrus honey. But here we have different options. Every like couple miles, if there is plant like habitat is different than in one place, you can see different taste, different flavor, different color, and if it is a blend of honey, depends on how many plants supported or like nectar in this honey can be changed. And if it is monoculture, like one plant intense, like more than 50%, you can feel the original source, like a dominant source in your taste.
Yeah, my wife and I were just in Istanbul. Love the country, love the city. One of my big ahas from Istanbul was I didn't realize that tulips started from there. So we went to a beautiful garden with millions of with tulips. It's just a beautiful country. So if you like to travel and you haven't been there, I definitely recommend it. What part of Turkey are you from?
East part originally, but right now my relatives in this capital city and close the capital city, Ankara.
Okay. So what's you said you ate a lot of honey as a kid. What was your favorite dish with honey from where you were, your home
Dish?
country?
Mostly I love honey. Eat with just bread, like
Okay.
fresh cooked bread, and with some butter. So this is my favorite food. But right now I reduce this consumption.
Yeah, we had Turkish delight, but we had the baklava there, and yeah, you're right. Just honey was served with every breakfast.
Yes.
It was absolutely wonderful. Let's talk about some of the health benefits of honey. One of the things that I was recently told was that if you have really bad allergies, if you have the local honey from around you, that it could actually help with your allergies, and it worked. So I was really surprised. But what other health benefits have you seen to honey?
Yeah, there are more benefits. Maybe I cannot count here, but just only basic something I can mention. So, like honey has lots of antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral effects, and it is really good for healing some wounds and any like sharp cut issues on our body. It is really easy, and also sometimes even herpes, like on our lips. So if you apply a little bit honey, it's better, like maybe quicker healing, providing than creams, some like antihistaminic creams.
Oh wow. So is it just in its original form, or is it whipped when you apply it?
It doesn't matter, but like if it is small quantity, we have before this. I need to mention here one thing, like there is a traditional health support coming from the hives. We call epitherapy. So epitherapy means like all hive products has different benefits, health benefits in your life, in our life. So this is different topic we can talk hours, but honey, either they say without contamination with the air from directly like kept honey cells, it's better. But as long as you apply with something clean, something, it shouldn't be issue.
Well, and I know that some people I've seen it served in the hive, or the not the hive, in its natural form. What are the advantages of that, having it whole right out, or the honeycombs? What are the advantages of that? It's the combs are basically just wax, right?
Yes, those are beeswax. Some people believe those are more natural, clean honey, and especially from the epitherapy perspective, yes, that's correct. Even though honey is really high sugar content and lots of antibacterial, antifungal, like features, still they can get some contamination. So if we put in a table honey and if we keep in room temperature or if you leave open, it can absorb the smell environment like factors in it, so it can contaminate. So it should be kept in jars, healthy conditions, without other factors around the honey. So always honeycomb a little bit more attractive for people, especially beekeepers. I don't know, maybe for me, if you put it to a table, to plate honey, one of them honeycomb, one of them liquid honey, probably I can prefer the eating honeycomb. I think it's more like clear, but it's not 100% true. If we harvest in healthy condition, clean condition, it should be same benefit, nutrition, everything same. But still, the attractive part is the design or shape or physical structure of the comb, because it's beautiful something, shape and color. So when you see the comb honey, it's more attractive. And also some cultures like Middle East or our country, they prefer to eat comb honey instead of liquid honey.
Oh, really?
And they pay extra money for the comb honey, honeycomb.
I actually like both. When we were in Kyrgyzstan, every morning for breakfast we had it. It was delicious.
Yes.
So let's talk about the research, because you are at the ASU Bee Lab. What are some of the research projects? We talked a little bit about nutrition. We talked about food production. What are some of the research projects that you're currently working on?
We have different project teams. We have School of Social Insect Research Group in ASU. They are working with different social structure. So we work with immunity, behavior, evolution, structure, like genetics, different topics. Right now, depends on the research professor or supervisor. They apply different fund sources. So if we have grant from the different source, we can work on different topics. But right now, one common long-term project we are working on, like USDA project, we are working some fungicides effects on the honeybees. So this is really important with the recent colony collapse issues or bee losses. So we are trying to understand how those chemicals affect our bee life, biology, so their lifespan, their behavior, their communication, everything, different aspect we are looking. And also we work with the immunology with different research group. And we have one group, they are working on in vitro rare condition some projects, so we can raise bees in vitro condition, and we can control the environment a little bit better than hive condition, in vivo condition. And we have also some new project related with the pests like Varroa mites affecting honeybee life, and we have some directly project on the mite, and we have project on the hygienic behavior. So different topics we can talk, but depends on the budget or fund source. We can work different topics.
Are there any promising solutions to for the fungicides and the pesticides? Are there different strategies that people are trying? I know I've looked at different resources, and there are some farms or large industrial farms are doing more rewilding, at least for part of it, or they're taking some of the fields and they're planting wildflowers so that they have some of that biodiversity. But what are some of the things that you're seeing that are promising to help bring back the bee population?
From our projects, maybe we cannot say directly something, but when we find some effects related with the fungicides, so it can inform user of the fungicide and beekeepers. Beekeepers should pay attention more, because sometimes they label some safe label for bees, but they're not safe sometimes. So we just inform both sides, like farmers and beekeepers, and both sides can be careful, because in a chemical issue, sometimes something preventable. So if they can communicate well. If they remove the bees when they need to apply some chemical, they can reduce the effects of these issues, chemical issues. But sometimes they don't communicate well. So maybe we can inform the sector, beekeeping and farmer, agriculture industry. We can create something like better communication because of these results. Because results clear and scientifically published on like sources, we cannot ignore this.
So to your point, it could just be a matter of changing the time when they apply the fungicide so it doesn't overlap for when the bees are out, something like that.
Yes, it's not 100%. We shouldn't say like we should use chemical, but we need to remove bees because sometimes when plant source is blooming, bees needs to be there.
Yeah.
Because bees needs to collect some pollen and nectar. But if it is like adjustable time, like if we can coordinate the time, application time a little bit after bloom, maybe we can reduce the effects. So sometimes they don't know this or they don't pay attention much.
So this has been a great conversation, but I kind of want to pivot now. I know this is something that community gardeners or home gardeners are looking at. We had a conversation behind the scenes, and we're like, we love honey, we love bees. Is it a good idea for us to get a hive for here? How hard is it for like a homemaker or a community garden or a home gardener or a community garden to raise their bees? Is it something you'd recommend?
It is really, really easy.
Okay, at first check that box.
Yes, it's really easy, but it needs some commitment.
Okay.
Especially in south part of the America, like Arizona. So the honeybees, like management and keeping hobby size honeybees, it's really easy. Just you need to take like couple hours, some instruction, hobby beekeeping, introduction beekeeping, and read some magazines. And we have lots of source right now, digital source like videos, online classes. I don't mean you can learn everything in short term, but you can get the idea like seasonal management strategies like plan.
So hold on. So just in general, I'm a hobbyist, or at home, and I want to have a beehive. What do I have to? Do they need water? Is there food or? I mean, I know I have 2 dogs. I know I can't go out there and give them dog food or put out a water bowl. What is the general maintenance like?
Yes, food wise, they shouldn't require because
So they're pulling it from
yes,
the environment.
if you are living in environment neighborhood, if there's plants around like habitat blooming different time in different season, you don't need to feed them maybe, but the water, it is important, especially in Arizona, because if there is natural water source in another states naturally like leaking river or canal, it's also easy. But if there is not water source, everywhere dry in Arizona summertime, it's really hard because they need to thermoregulate colonies. You need to provide clean water source because without water they can collapse. But if there is pool or like small like water source dripper system, always wet or something, they can use, but they can bother you or your neighbors. So if you specifically design a like water source for them, they can learn that source and they can utilize.
So, like, looking at the houses in Arizona, they're different from other Western states are like this too. Every house has a block fence around it, and when it's 120 degrees, that block fence absorbs the heat. How susceptible are they to heat? Because I know that when I did my first couple raised beds, I'm trying to plant more on the ground now. The soil got up to 100 degrees.
Yes.
Then I had to insulate them. So, what are the considerations with actual heat, even if they have a water source?
If there is water source, it's not really big issue, but still we want to avoid from the placing highs close the wall and like structure and west side of the buildings or area like any yard, because west sun is really hitting colonies or like anything. And if there is wall close by and reflect the heat even overnight, and if there is dark color something structure close to hive in the west side, it's also hitting colonies. So we should use some natural structure like plant shades and shade locations, and a little bit north side of the like buildings. If there is shade afternoon hours, it's perfect.
So if you have a garden at the school, this is good for you, but you need to have water. The food source, if you have a garden, if you have a lot of blooming trees, you're probably in pretty good shape. Now you talked about, was it they were mites that attacked the?
Yes.
Okay, so what can you do to mitigate against those? And are they
Yes.
common in Arizona?
Yes, everywhere,
Oh,
worldwide, global
okay.
issue. The pests, we have different issues, but the common issue I mentioned, like Varroa mite. Varroa mite is a pest, external parasite on bee life. They evolved with the bees years, million years. So we need to treat them. There is not a solution to mitigate or kill them 100%. So best efficient treatments just claim 97, 98% success. So always when we treat the mite with this kind of like treatments, we lower the number of the mites below the 2-3%. This acceptable rate is 2%. If we have less than 2% mite, we are happy. We want 0, 1, but it's not easy because the mite evolve in bee life and they reproduce really quickly in brood and brood cycle in the bee life. So we at least 2-3 times in warmer climate we need to treat colonies to control the mite level, and also we have IPM different strategies. We want to apply some different strategies to control the mite level.
So if I'm a home gardener, if I have a community garden, or if I'm at a school, make sure they have a water source, they have a food source, not too close to a brick wall, which is good. And then we talked about the mites. If I'm going to do a visual inspection of my beehive, how would I know that mites are in there? What do they look like?
Yes, great question. So the mites, small, tiny, brownish color, something like pin top size. So sometimes visible on bee body, but we don't want to see them because if we start to see mites on the bee body, it's almost too late.
Oh,
So they are always in bee life. There are some techniques we use, like testing techniques. So we sampled some bees with the different techniques, like alcohol, detergent, or powder sugar, or different techniques we use. So we count the estimated number on the sample size bees. For example, 300 bees we are using. So we estimate how much mite we have, or how many mite in 100 we have. So if we see this higher, we just treat. We don't need to see physical like mite on the bee body, but they are easy to see on the bee.
So
we inspect them.
powdered sugar? Really? That's one of the cures? What is powdered?
Not cure, but the test technique.
Okay.
But some people use also like as a treatment, because if they apply powder, it's not really efficient. But when you apply the powder sugar, sometimes mites can dislodge from the bee body.
Oh.
But you need to use like specific bottom board, because they can climb back on bee body.
Oh,
So
wow.
if you dislodge them, you need to have in the like screen bottom board in tray. You need to remove them because they can catch bees again. They can climb on bee body again.
I didn't. So what do they actually do to the bee? Do they eat them, or do they make them
No.
sick?
They might. You are asking, right?
Yeah.
So might make holes on bee body,
Oh.
and they just suck their like protein-rich hemolymph, like blood.
Okay, so like a parasite.
Yes.
Wow, that's interesting. Well, we're getting ready to wrap up, and I have to ask you this question. What is your favorite weirdest? Well, let's do two things. One, your favorite bee fact, but other one I want you to say is, what fact or information were you just shocked about bees when you heard? So let's do your favorite bee fact first. What's your favorite bee fact?
My favorite bee fact is like the bee dances.
Bee dances.
Yes. So they present a bee dance we call waggle dance. So if one bees we call scout bees, they look for food source. So when they leave from the colony, and scout bees early morning, they find food source, and they come to hive that nest, and they dance, and they describe like GPS,
Oh,
and they say
through a dance.
yes with
Wow.
the dance. And the like funny thing or like interesting thing is they're doing this dance in dark condition. There is no light,
Oh,
but the following bees following that bee while she's dancing, and she give the direction, angle, distance, quality, and like GPS, you're taking GPS with your car, taking address, and they take this direction from the dance, and they go find the GPS accurately.
so that's true interpretive dance. I think when I dance, I communicate that I'm not coordinated, but bees actually say where the food source is. That's great. What is the weirdest thing that you've learned about bees? Like when you heard that fact, you just stopped and like, I can't believe that's true, and you did a double take.
Like comb building. So still, I'm curious to understand fully, but when they build the comb like hexagon,
Yeah.
it is really strange. Like there are some facts they say like this is the really good strong structure in the nature, like hexagon shape, less material they use, and it's fit for their body. But still, I'm curious to learn like how they do this. But this is the weirdest thing I know about.
Yeah, honestly, that's a thing. I mean, to try to draw a perfect circle, it's almost impossible.
Yes,
And these bees are replicating the shape over and over again.
thousands of times.
Yeah, how do they do that? So, well, Dr. Ozturk, it's been a great pleasure to have you here today. And I think our listeners are really going to understand the importance of why honeybees are so important, not only to food production, not only to nutrition, not only to naturopathic cures, but and then there's cultural significance as well too. But they're important to your overall community. So if you ask yourself why is it important that if the bee colonies are collapsing, you might as well ask the question, why is it important to have food on the table? So you can't have one without the other. So I want to thank you again for joining us. Please make sure to like and subscribe and to follow our channel. And if you're curious about how to raise your own bees, make sure to reach out to ASU. You said that they have digital information, they have virtual classes. So within maybe this year, you could start creating your own beehive at your house or your community garden. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks so much for having me. Thanks so much.
All right.
Great to be here.
Thank you for joining the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Click subscribe and like for ongoing insightful conversations. Explore our webpage for show notes and additional resources. Visit our guests' webpage for deeper insights. Your engagement is the foundation of our journey, and until next time, keep pursuing wisdom.